Following a player through all of their highs and lows is one of the most fulfilling experiences for a sports fan. In mixed martial arts, bouts are like chapters in the life of a competitor since spectators witness their growth, development, and change in real time. This is never more evident than when examining Dustin "the Diamond" Poirier's UFC career. Making his UFC debut at just 21 years old, Poirier is now a 25-fight UFC vet who has competed against the very biggest and best names the sport has ever seen. This is the story of Dustin "the Diamond" Poirier. Poirier made his way into MMA as a young, hot-headed teenager with a love of boxing. Born in Lafayette, Louisiana in 1989, he lived with his mother and two brothers after his parents had split up when he was 5. He never gravitated towards education and school and even spent a month in a detention center and 3 months at a boot camp to try and fix his attitude and unwillingness to attend school. Leaving at 15, Poirier's future remained uncertain. His one consistent was his girlfriend Jolie, who is now his wife after meeting when Poirier was still in his tough teenage years. From a very young age, Dustin had always shown a passion for fighting and simply liked the competition and release. In his late teenage years, he started training in boxing before transitioning into MMA. Within 6 months of starting training, he booked his first fight and would start his MMA career competing on small and shady local shows. Making his pro debut in May of 2009, Poirier fought 7 times in 13 months, with only one fight taking place outside of Louisiana. In August of 2010, Poirier made his debut in the WEC, tasting defeat for the first time after losing a decision to Danny Castillo. After fighting once more in the WEC, their roster was merged with the UFC's, and Poirier made his debut in the promotion at UFC 125, beating Josh Grisby in his first octagon appearance. Poirier would start his UFC run in a very impressive fashion and prove himself to be one of the best young prospects in the sport. With 4 UFC wins in a row, including a first-round submission over a debuting Max Holloway, the biggest fight of Poirier's career up to that point was just around the corner. In a main event against the Korean Zombie, Poirier came up short for the second time in his career, but rebounded with a win over Jonathan Brookins that proved that he still had a lot to give in the featherweight division. After another setback to Cub Swanson, Poirier built a run of 3 consecutive wins that led to one of the biggest moments of his career. Matched with a man who was already being talked about as the next big thing instead of Poirier, UFC 178 was the stage for Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor. Coming off his win at UFC Dublin, McGregor's wave of momentum was already in full force, and it proved too much for Poirier at this point in his career. The younger and more hot-headed Dustin got caught up in the emotion of the fight, playing right into the Irishman's hands and getting stopped in the first round. With the Irish fans taking over Vegas, this defeat was by far the most substantial of his career. This setback led to him moving up a weight class and competing at lightweight, where he would realize his true potential. After his loss to the Korean Zombie, Poirier had started training at American Top Team in Florida. Following the McGregor loss, Poirier looked to rebuild himself in the lightweight division, starting with a win over Carlos Diego Ferreira in April of 2015. Following it up with back-to-back wins over Yancy Medeiros, Joseph Duffy, and Bobby Green. Once again, it was time for Poirier to compete in the main event spot. Unfortunately, in September of 2016, he would once again fall short in what could have been a huge moment for his career. His lightweight resurgence was cut short by Michael Johnson, who stopped him in the first round and would go on to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov at UFC 205. Though it was a big setback at the time, it sparked the defining years of Poirier's career. At UFC 208 in February of 2017, Poirier rebounded with a hard-fought win over Jim Miller. His next 3 wins would be the biggest of his career at that point in time. After a no-contest fight with Eddie Alvarez, where the fight was stopped due to an illegal knee, Poirier got back on the right path with a win over former champion Anthony Pettis. In a fight that pushed him to the absolute limit, he battled through a war with Justin Gaethje in April of 2018, earning a stoppage win in the 4th round. After Poirier and Alvarez's first fight ended in a controversial finish, the bad blood between them had been boiling away. In July, Poirier got another shot at Alvarez, who had also beaten the surging Justin Gaethje in a brutal contest since the no contest. Once again producing an incredible fight while it lasted, Poirier came away with the win, getting the TKO in the 2nd round and putting this chapter with Alvarez to bed. With the aftermath of Khabib vs. McGregor still hanging over the division, an interim title fight was made. Poirier, who had beaten 2 former champions and one of the most dangerous men in the division, would take on the dominant featherweight champion and former opponent Max Holloway. In the 7 years since their first fight, both men had ascended to the very top of the sport. However, on the night of their rematch, it was Poirier who once again got his hand raised. Winning a hard-fought unanimous decision, the fight itself was one of the best of the year and showcased everything that makes MMA a great sport. With the win, Poirier solidified the biggest fight of his career, a title unification bout with the undefeated champion, Khabib Nurmagomedov. The pair were scheduled to face off at UFC 242 in Abu Dhabi, with the undisputed lightweight title on the line. Unfortunately, things didn't go Poirier's way as he was submitted in the third round with a rear naked choke. As he had done many times in his career, Dustin rebounded from the biggest loss of his career by going on to reach new heights. Engaging in another breathtaking battle with Dan Hooker, it was Poirier who got the win, proving again and again why he's one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC. He's not only loved by fans for his fighting style, Poirier uses his financial status to profit others that are less fortunate than him. In April of 2018, he and his wife founded the Good Fight Foundation, a charity that mostly focuses on helping people from Poirier's hometown. Though most of its focus is on Lafayette, Poirier also used this platform to contribute to wider issues, earning money through auctioning off his fight gear from every contest. When he faced Khabib Nurmagomedov, Khabib also gave his fight kit to Poirier for auction. And with Dana White also contributing, they made a donation of $200,000 to the foundation. After all of the blood, sweat, and tears that fans had seen Poirier put into his career, he was rewarded with the biggest fight possible in the sport. After a conversation over Twitter about a charity bout, the UFC immediately started working on a rematch between Dustin Poirier and the notorious Conor McGregor. 7 years on from their first fight, Poirier would look to get revenge on the Irishman at UFC 257 in January of 2021. With all the pandemonium that normally comes with a McGregor fight removed by the COVID-19 pandemic, the build-up this time around was extremely friendly and respectful, with McGregor offering to donate $500,000 to the Good Fight Foundation before the event took place. After a decent start to the fight for McGregor, Poirier started to implement his game plan, causing heavy damage to Conor's lead leg with his calf kicks. In the second half of round 2, Poirier unleashed a savage combination that sent McGregor to the canvas. Undoubtedly the biggest win of his career, this performance felt like a culmination of all of the wins and setbacks that fans had seen him go through. No longer known as a fighter who falls short under the biggest lights, Dustin Poirier is one of the UFC's biggest success stories. Now 25 fights into his UFC career, Poirier has continued to reinvent himself and come back stronger when faced with adversity. With the biggest win of his career accomplished in 2021, Poirier shows no signs of stopping as he heads into his legendary trilogy bout with McGregor. Fans will always have their favorite fighters, but Dustin Poirier warrants respect from every MMA fan. Now he sits at the top of the sport through all of the losses, wars, and relentless hard work. The fighting pride of Lafayette, Louisiana, Dustin the Diamond Poirier. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Apart from that, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.